Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय, श्री गौर निताय की जय, श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय, श्री प्रहलाद नरसिम्हदेव की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, इस डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
हरे कृष्णा। तो आज हमारा विशेष सौभाग्य है कि हमारे बीच अपना संग देने के लिए हैदराबाद से आए हैं लीलानंद प्रभु। लीलानंद प्रभु की शैक्षिक योग्यता 2001 में उन्होंने सीए किया, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट होने के बाद यूएसए में वे इस्कॉन के संपर्क में आए और पिछले 15 से अधिक वर्षों से कृष्ण भक्ति का अद्भुत तरीके से अनुशीलन कर रहे हैं। साथ ही प्रभु जी हैदराबाद में 2013 में स्वामी महाराज से दीक्षा हुई और उसके बाद से प्रभु जी हैदराबाद में हैं और साथ में भक्ति नहीं बल्कि प्रचार भी कर रहे हैं। इसका प्रमाण है कि वो 90 भक्तों को लेकर उज्जैन आए। सभी भक्त यहाँ पे उपस्थित हैं, उनका भी हम स्वागत करते हैं उज्जैन में हमारे मंदिर प्रबंधन समिति की ओर से। साथ ही कुछ दिनों पहले शिशु भक्ति में स्वामी महाराज भी वहाँ गए थे, तो हमारा बताया कि बहुत अच्छे कॉर्पोरेट टीचर हैं प्रभु जी। और आज मैं चर्चा कर रहा था, बताया 14 प्रचारक प्रभु जी के मार्गदर्शन में प्रचार कर रहे हैं और जहाँ जहाँ प्रचार कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे रथ यात्रा के समय 3 दिन में 10 रथ यात्राएं उन्होंने निकाली। और जहाँ जहाँ 3000 लोगों की कम्युनिटी है, 4000 कम्युनिटी है, इस तरह वहाँ पे रथ यात्रा निकाली और 200 से अधिक गृहस्थ परिवारों को प्रभु जी मार्गदर्शन दे रहे हैं। और इनकी इसी विशेष योग्यता को देखते हुए हाल ही में इस्कॉन लीडरशिप संघ हुआ था मायापुर में। वहाँ भी प्रभु जी ने 3-4 प्रेजेंटेशन दिए थे कॉर्पोरेट रीचिंग कैसे करनी है। तो विशेष रूप से आईटी सेक्टर हैदराबाद में है, वहाँ प्रभु जी का बहुत विशेष योगदान है। यहाँ भी बहुत सारे आईटी सेक्टर के भक्त यहाँ पे हैं। तो प्रभु जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देते हैं कि वे इतने भक्तों को यहाँ लेकर आए, हमें प्रेरणा प्रदान करने के लिए, और सभी भक्तों का भी हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं। एक बार हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र लेके
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
प्रेज लिलानंद प्रभु की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय।
हरे कृष्णा। So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, verse 26. यो अयं कालस्तस्य ते अव्यक्तबन्धो चेष्टाम् अहुश्चेष्टते येन विश्वम् निर्मेषाधिर्वत्सरान्तो महीयान् त्वन्तेषाणां क्षेमधाम प्रपद्ये। यो अयं कालस्तस्य ते अव्यक्तबन्धो चेष्टाम् अहुश्चेष्टते येन विश्वम् निमेषादिर्वत्सरान्तो महीयान् तं त्वेषाणां क्षेमधाम प्रपद्ये। यो अयं कालस्तस्य ते अव्यक्तबन्धो चेष्टाम् अहुश्चेष्टते येन विश्वम् निमेषादिर्वत्सरान्तो महीयान् तं तेषाणां क्षेमधाम प्रपद्ये। प्रभु जी।
योऽयं कालस्तस्य ते व्यक्तबन्धो
योऽयं कालस्तस्य ते अव्यक्तबन्धो
चेष्टामाहुश्चेष्टते येन विश्वम् निमेषादिर्वत्सरान्तो महीयान्
निमेषादिर्वत्सरान्तो महीयान्
तं त्वेषानं क्षेमधाम प्रपद्ये।
त्वं तेषाणां क्षेमधाम प्रपद्ये। यो अयं कालस्तस्य ते अव्यक्तबन्धो
योऽयं कालस्तस्य ते अव्यक्तबन्धो
योऽयं कालस्तस्य ते अव्यक्तबन्धो
चेष्टामाहुश्चेष्टते येन विश्वम्
चेष्टामाहुश्चेष्टते येन विश्वम्
निमेषादिर्वत्सरान्तो महीयान्
निमेषादिर्वत्सरान्तो महीयान्
त्वेषानं क्षेमधाम प्रपद्ये।
तं तेषाणां क्षेमधाम प्रपद्ये। माताजी।
योऽयं कालस्तस्य ते व्यक्तबन्धो
Alastasya te avyaktabandho Yeah, that which Hindi या English चलेगा ना English. I am this kala, time, minutes, hours, seconds. Tasya, of him, te, of you, avyakta bandho. O my Lord, you are the inaugurator of. Yeah. O my Lord, you are the inaugurator of the unmanifested, the original Mahat Tattva or Prakriti. Cheshtam, attempt or pastimes. Ahu, it is said. Chestate, works. Yena, by which. Vishwam, the entire creation. Nimisha Adi, Nimisha Adi, beginning with minute parts of time. Vatsara Anta, up to the limit of a year. Mahiyan, powerful. Tam, onto your lordship. Tva Ishanam, onto you the supreme controller. Kshema Dhama, the reservoir of all auspiciousness. Prapadye, I offer full surrender. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. You can repeat the translation after me. O inaugurator of the material energy, this wonderful creation works under the control of powerful time, which is divided into seconds, minutes, hours, and years. This element of time, which extends for many millions of years, is but another form of Lord Vishnu. For your pastimes, you act as a controller of time. But you are the reservoir of all good fortune. Let me offer my full surrender unto your Lordship. Purport. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5, you don't need to repeat this. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5.52, Yachakshur Esha Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Sura Murtir Ashesha Teja Yasyajnaya Brahmati Sambhrata Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The sun is the king of all planetary systems and has unlimited potency in heat and light. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of external time. Although we see the cosmic manifestation as gigantic and wonderful, it is within the limitations of Kala, the time factor. The time factor is also controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Mayadhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam. Prakriti, the cosmic manifestation, is under the control of time. Indeed, everything is under the control of time, and time is controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Supreme Lord has no fear of the onslaughts of time. Time is estimated according to movements of sun, Savita. Every minute, every second, every day, every night, every month, and every year of time can be calculated according to the sun's movements. But the sun is not independent, for it is under the time's control. Brahmati, Sambhrata Kala Chakra. The sun moves within the Kala Chakra, the orbit of time. The sun is under the control of time, and the time is controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord has no fear of time. The Lord is addressed here as Avyakta Bandhu, or the inaugurator of the movements of the entire cosmic manifestation. Sometimes the cosmic manifestation is compared to a potter's wheel. When a potter's wheel is spinning, who has set it in motion? Who has set it in motion? It is a potter, of course. Although sometimes we can see only the motion of the wheel and cannot see the potter himself. Therefore, the Lord, who is behind the motion of the cosmos, is called Avyakta Bandhu. Everything is within the limits of time, moves under the direction of the Lord, who is therefore not in time, but the time's limit. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले रूपाकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Kindly repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौ ब्राह्मणाहिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हुकुम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपः तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। ओम अपवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यत्स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्ष सभ्याभ्यन्तरं शुचे। श्री विष्णु श्रीविष्णु श्रीविष्णु। श्री राधा मदन मोहन ललिता सखी विशाखा की जय। श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री नरसिंहदेव प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय। ऐसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री ब्रह्म मत व गौड़ गुरु परंपरा सांप्रदाय की जय। कृष्ण His Holiness Bhakti Prem Swami Maharaj ki jai. I'm thoroughly humbled, and this exercise of being humbled started from yesterday evening 5 o'clock. Since we arrived here in Ujjain, completely unexpected, completely unprecedented, completely shocking. I just messaged His Grace Radhesham Prabhu saying something like this is happening in Ujjain. He is my Siksha Guru, and he told that we have to learn Vaishnava Seva from Iskcon Ujjain. I am able to see, I am able to learn sitting here. Sometimes a monkey climbs a tree. Sometimes a housefly goes and sits on a Vyasasana. Sometimes somebody like me can also be given an opportunity to sit here. Doesn't give any qualification to be here, especially in front of so many exalted Vaishnavas. I'm actually grateful to this big camera that's kept in front of me that I can't see many of you. So I can speak little easily. Sometimes when you are on a big stage and there is a big FUD lamp, on your face, you see that, right? I don't know if you have experienced any stage like that. They keep a big FUD lamp in front. The good thing about that FUD lamp is you can't see anything after it. Only see that FUD lamp. So I'm very humbled here to be here in front of all you senior Vaishnavas, Swami Maharaj himself, and the lordships, and this beautiful temple Iskcon Ujjain, something which I had always dreamed to come. But now the time has arrived, and now we are all here. So I request all the Gachibowli Satsang devotees to say a loud Haribol to this temple and the devotees who have invited us here and who are so nicely taking care of us with 3 loud Haribols. Hari, Hari. I would not, I would not miss to remember the incident when I first met His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Those were my initial days in Krishna consciousness. I was given the service to record, like exactly the recording that's happening here. My job was to keep the recorder and record. So we were in New Jersey, and Maharaj had arrived to New Jersey, and it happened to be a weekday. Normally, in weekdays, entire America is dead. Only on weekends you see devotees coming, on people coming to temples. Weekdays is completely gone, shut off, right? Everybody is Monday to Friday, they're running to their offices. So it so happened that because I had the service of recording, I went to the temple, and His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj came, and practically that was the day Maharaj was initiating 3 devotees. I think 2 from United Kingdom and 1 from America. So they came to New Jersey, and Maharaj was initiating there, and I was the one who was recording it, and we were only 4 people in the hall. It was Maharaj, me, and those 3 devotees, and 5 people, yeah. And there was this pujari on the altar who was doing the puja, and the temple president came, the 6th person. He gave me, I was the nearest holding the camera, he gave me the garland. I said, "Garland Maharaj." That was the great fortune of taking the garland and garlanding Maharaj, and Maharaj said, "Thank you very much." And he asked me, "So you live in New Jersey?" I said, "Maharaj, I am here to record your lecture, and I live in Boston. I've just come here." Okay, very much. Thank you for recording it, Lord. Those are the only few conversations I could have in this small life and association with a pure devotee. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki. And we always heard, staying in other parts of the world, we heard about this temple being constructed in an unbelievable time of 9 months and 20 days, as told by Maharaj yesterday. And we always wondered how this temple will be. And we heard that there was a big GBC meet that happened here, right after the temple was constructed or during that time. I was not sure on that. But it's unbelievable that we all came here and we are witnessing this beautiful temple. And today's verse is about time. And it once again proves that a devotee who works for Krishna, time expands. Because we are living in a time when government takes 10 years to construct one flyover. Even before the flyover is finished, some people fly. Yeah, we are living in a time when nothing happens on time, right? Especially Hyderabadis are known for Nizam culture. I don't know if you have heard that. Right? Nobody finishes anything on time because nobody starts anything on time. Right? We are very, very lazy, laid-back people. That's the impression of Hyderabad. And for us, when we hear that something like this huge temple, guest house, and such a big park, and everything was constructed in 9 months and 20 days, it's thoroughly unimaginable. And all glories to all the devotees who have assisted Maharaj and assisted Srila Prabhupada in making such a glorious place for all of us. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Yeah. So time, as explained here, works under the instruction of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. We go to Konark temple, it's famous for measuring time. I don't know how many of you have gone there. There is this chariot wheel. In that you can see as the shadow goes by the sun, you can see how the time is measured. And here it is being told that the sun is controlled by the Supreme Lord. Time is controlling the sun, and Supreme Lord is controlling the time. Right? So time is not in anyone's control, but what choices we make in that time can determine its effect on us. Right? Sometimes when we want to lead a life in which we want to enjoy, then time literally squishes us. Right? It's very difficult. Sometimes when people want to achieve materialistic happiness, time really squeezes it out. We don't find anything for our own happiness. Like a lot of software engineers can relate to me. Purchase big houses, big halls, and big movie theaters. Many movie theater in the house, by the way, right? So once my director in one company was telling me, I bought this big house and I have installed this big home theater, and it is surround effect. Like literally, you don't know where the sound is coming from. Like that, he was praising. I felt okay. Okay, I know. Slowly, you will know by time how you'll enjoy that. So after 2-3 years, when we were traveling together, I asked him, "So, sir, how many movies you have seen in that movie theater?" He said, "I don't know. I never got time only." So this is what time does. When you want to enjoy, it squishes you to the end. But when you want to serve Lord Krishna, the same time expands. Right? A devotee can do things that nobody can do outside. It's not a statement being. I'm saying this because I'm trying to be a devotee. If we are in devotional service, we can do impossible things, something that is not possible for anybody outside. And our Acharya, Srila Prabhupada himself has exemplified by traveling at the age of 70, when normally people say it's not a good time to travel. Isn't it? They say it's not a good time to travel. 70-year-old, नहीं ये time नहीं, थोड़ा पहले travel कर दिया होता अच्छा रहता. Right? People want to go to Kedarnath. First they ask, what is your age? So then you say, I'm 60. No, you should have done it when you're 40. It's not a good time to travel. Right? So we tag this time with a prefix or suffix saying it's good or bad. But for a devotee, there's nothing like good or bad when it comes to time, because devotee sees it as the energy of Lord. And he completely looks at Krishna. When you look at Krishna, time becomes secondary. Because time is a energy of God. But when you look at time and you want to enjoy within that time, then the time becomes death. It shows up the Krishna in the form of death. Because how many of you can plan your life thinking the time is going to get over? Right? We cannot plan our life like that. Because if we focus on time, we can't do anything in life. Sometimes we have to forget that time exists. And then we go forward with our goals. But materialistic people, they always have this targeted time that I have to retire by this time, then I want to enjoy. So they land up not enjoying before and land up not enjoying after. Because you're focusing on time. Instead, Srila Prabhupada says in this verse, focus on Krishna, who is the controller of that time. Like this temple hall can fit maybe 5,000 devotees. It can fit because the hall also expands. Right? When devotees sit in the hall also expands. So is even time. Sometimes we have satsangs in our houses. Sometimes a house is, from a materialistic calculation, maybe 20 people can sit. But we have managed to fit in 150 people in that. I don't know how. And even in yatras, we see that, when there are big yatras and big pandal, everybody sits in the front. I want to be the first person to sit. So some people literally some devotees even sleep there before the lecture. That I want to make sure that those places are booked. I'm sure we all have seen that kind of yatras. And then as the time for lecture comes, everybody comes and they literally pack the whole place. Somebody who's sitting like this has to sit like that for the next 3 hours because he can't move. He's jammed into it, like that puzzle. You see that puzzle, right? You keep that puzzle and it's jammed. You can't move it after that. And then comes one devotee, right from the back, without considering any exception. He comes, walks through in between, I don't know how. He comes there and he sits down. And the whole Sangha expands. Have you seen that happening? Yeah, that is called the energy of God. Right? So time also expands. When we are serving Krishna, time expands. But at the same time, as in the purport explains, that activity cannot be performed in this material world without time. Right? There has to be time factor for an activity to happen. And Lord Krishna uses time, his own energy for performing his pastimes. Right? Many places Krishna uses us to convey a message through time. For example, when Lord Krishna lifted Govardhan for 7 days and 7 nights, actually, does it even make any meaning that 7 days and 7 nights for the Supreme Lord? But yes, he uses the time factor to convey as a message that he spent that much time with the Vrajavasis and to humble the atheists for ages to come, that you can't lift this table. I lifted that mountain for 7 days and 7 nights on my small finger of my left hand. So he conveys a message. And he also uses the factor of time. Though time actually doesn't have any meaning for the Supreme Lord itself, because time is just an energy for him. Right? And many other places, like even Lord Ram, when he goes on Vanavas, he goes for 14 years. Right? So he's conveying that I am following the order of my father. I am playing the role of Maryada Purushottam. And here is the amount of time I'm away. I'm serving that order. So in his pastime, Supreme Lord is using again and again. Right? Neither morning nor night. This was again the time set by Hiranyakashipu. Lord Narsingdev is right there. Neither morning nor night. And God can create a time which is neither morning nor evening, right in between, right? The time of Sandhya, again, he uses his time for the pastimes. And even in this very holy place of Ujjain, as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 45th chapter, there is a description of Lord Krishna coming to Ujjain and taking education at his own choice. This is one of the great places because Lord Krishna chose Ujjain. Lord Krishna chose, as explained in the purport. Prabhupada says Lord Krishna wanted to take education from Sandipani Muni. So it means that Lord Krishna chose to come to Ujjain, so a place that is special. And there he came here, and again the time factor it is mentioned in 64 days he learned 64 arts. Right? Again, to enhance his pastimes by using the time factor. He's telling that I've used it, Krishna and Balaram have learned in 64 days, 64 arts they have learned. At the same time, in Shishtastakam prayers also, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks about time. Yugayitam nimishena chakshusha pravarshaitam. Right? This whole a movement is equal to 12 years or more. Right? In separation of Krishna. Now, how can you measure separation of Krishna in time when Krishna himself is time? Baldev Vidyabhushan in his commentary explains about time in Bhagavad Gita, and he actually makes it, Srila Vidyabhushan, he says there are 5 important things we have to learn from Bhagavad Gita, 5 important aspects. And Ishvara, Kala, Karma, Prakriti, and Jiva. Yeah. So he gives that much importance to the time factor. And Krishna himself says only in one verse, Aham Kalosmi. Time is the most less spoken in Bhagavad Gita, but time is one of the most important energies that the Supreme Lord uses to conduct his pastimes. The whole material world functions with time. If time stops now, we all stop. There is nothing to do. Nothing can happen, right? So nothing can happen, then this time just stops, if time stops. Once even Lord Krishna made the time stop when he wanted to speak Bhagavad Gita. It is explained that nothing was there except him and Arjuna, right? So for that, some say that it was 90 minutes, I don't know the exact time, but around 90 minutes what Lord Krishna has spoken. Several great acharyas have given their commentaries on that 90 minutes. And even now, lot of us, including me, find it very difficult to exactly get the essence of some verses. They are so so advanced. But in that much time, Krishna conveyed the ultimate message to all of us. But as I said in the beginning, how we utilize the time determines how time treats us. Like even in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, there is a verse, Yanisa Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Samyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sanisa Pashyato Mune. That the time for a transcendentalist is night for a day for a transcendentalist is night for a materialistic person, right? So for a transcendentalist, for a spiritual person, the time that he spends is the time with the Supreme Lord. And a materialistic person can't understand that. Sometimes people wonder, what do people do in a temple for this long time? I was telling my once in America, we were staying in US. Most of the congregation they come to the temple on Sunday. Sunday is service because the congregations are not as big. It's wonderful to see so many devotees. But in US, sometimes the temple only has 100, 120. That's all it is, right? Like Boston Temple, I know, where it was 120 or 130. And on Sunday, all the congregation comes to the temple. Right? Literally everybody, they come to the temple and we all have services. And once my relatives came to meet me on a Sunday in Boston, I said, I'm going to temple. They told, we'll wait, you go and come. I told, I'll come in the night. They asked, are you going to temple or you're going to many temples? I'm said, I'm only going to one temple. Then I told them, you can come with me. And they got scared. What can you do? What will you do with us in the temple for the whole day? I told them, you please come and you can experience. But the most fortunate people know the schedule of Srila Prabhupada, right, which never stops. Throughout the day, throughout the year, all the months, all festivals, Prabhupada has not left any gap in any month for us to escape. The time is completely, packed. Like, when we are going in a traffic, if sometimes when we are jam-packed, we have to make sure that we are bumper to bumper, right? Because even if you leave a little gap, an auto fellow will come in between. The same way, Prabhupada knew that especially IT engineers, with some extra undeserving money, these people will get. So they will definitely spoil their lives with that money. So Prabhupada made sure that we have so many festivals and so many Ekadashis and so many, Acharya's appearances and disappearances and so many activities that even if we want, we can't have that gap. It's a very good thing. So, time makes all of us tensed, and sometimes in his pastimes, his devotees also show that tension. One of the classic incident is Arjuna. When Arjuna was tensed in the battlefield, when he took a resolution of killing Jayadratha, he was very, very tensed, right? Because he knew that he has to kill Jayadratha before the sunset. But while Lord Krishna was driving Arjuna, Lord Krishna was smiling. It is explained by Acharyas. Behind Arjuna is so much tensed, and Lord Krishna is smiling in the front, right? And that was the best battlefield war Arjuna fought in all his 18 days. It is explained. He tried his best. Of course, Acharyas also explained the moment Arjuna made that resolution that I am going to kill Jayadratha tomorrow, Lord Krishna also felt some tension. That how is he going to do it tomorrow? Right? So that's another way of giving some tension to the Supreme Lord. Like sometimes somebody like me takes 10 Bhagavad Gitas and goes out for book distribution. I'm sure Krishna gets tensed. Ab ye kya karega? Isko to aata nahi hai book distribution. So he has to send 5 people to encourage me, so that they come and take the books and I feel encouraged. Oh, main bhi kar sakta hu book distribution. Same way, even Arjuna took the resolution. Now Krishna is thinking, how will it happen? Because who is he going to face? He's going to face Karna. He's going to face Drona. He's going to face so many great warriors, right? It's not ordinary. And they are going to take turns. So it is explained, Lord Krishna, Arjuna was sleeping peacefully, but Lord Krishna was walking in his room. Kal subah iska kya hoga? Then he called Satyaki. And Lord Krishna told Satyaki that if tomorrow something unprecedented happens, immediately entire Sena attack and finish the war. Tomorrow I'm going to raise Sudarshan and close the matter. Like that. So it seems, I heard this in a lecture. And that is how much Lord Krishna loves his devotees. But the next day morning, when Lord Krishna was driving the vehicle, Lord Krishna already had a plan that Jayadratha is anyway going to die. That is for sure. But Arjuna is tensed whether or not I can do it because I have made a resolution. So he was so tense looking at the time. Every time, of course, he was not looking at the watch, he was looking at the sun, right? Which is what this verse says. You can calculate time by seeing the sun. So he was looking at the sun, and as the sun was going down, again and again, warriors were taking turns to come in front of Arjuna. He would defeat Drona, and then he would go forward, Karna would come. He would defeat Karna and go forward, Ashwadhama would come. He would defeat Ashwadhama and again Drona would come. Right? And they were making sure that he would not reach Jayadratha because they knew that if Arjuna is not going to be in the war, then the victory for Kauravas is definitely certain. They had that confidence, so their goal was to kill. Of course, there was also the another curse that Jayadratha had, that if somebody becomes a reason for his head to fall on the ground, that person's head will burst. So Shakuni had a nice party previous night because all the angles are covered. Whether Arjuna kills him or whether Arjuna doesn't kill him, the war is over, right? Just see the situation, we all create in this material world and how Krishna has to make a way out of all that and save his devotee. Just like after the comprehensive insurance policy of, Hiranyakashipu, still, there was a flaw in the insurance policy. So, no insurance can help us, and no tactics could help Jayadratha also, right? So, Lord Krishna made sure that at the end, when he saw that the endeavor was sincere and the desire to serve Krishna was sincere, at the end, Lord Krishna himself interfered and he brought clouds in front of the sun and made it look like a night. And Jayadratha came outside saying, Hari Bol. He didn't say Hari Bol, but he was very happy. And immediately Arjuna looked at Lord Krishna. It's a big pastime, and the clouds were removed and shoot him now. And there he was done. And it was so nicely pointed, even without a Google location, it went exactly to the lap of his own father who took that Vardhan, from the lordships. He got that Vardhan and his head exactly fell in his lap. And as soon as he saw the head, he was, oh, my son's head, it fell down and his head busted. Right? So, such are Lord's pastimes and such way he uses his energies. Always when I hear about Lord's energies, I remember one devotee. This is in Iskcon, Denver. I had a service of cutting tomatoes. That was my service every Sunday in that temple. So I was cutting tomatoes, tuck, I was cutting tomatoes. So suddenly one devotee, the head cook, so the cook changes every 2 weeks. They had like 4 cooks. So the cook came to me and he was looking at me as if I'm doing something wrong. I was cutting the tomatoes and Prabhuji was just looking at me like this. So मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? Tomato तो cut कर रहा हूँ मैं. I was like, Prabhu, any problem? Can't you see what you're doing? Prabhu, you have to be attentive, he told. I said, Prabhu, I'm cutting tomatoes. I think I'm cutting tomatoes only properly. And I was looking at him. Prabhu, can't you see? Can't you see that how much energy of Krishna you're wasting? I said, energy of Krishna I'm wasting. I didn't. Prabhu, what am I doing? I'm cutting tomatoes. Then he took time. He took a tomato and he showed, Prabhu, when you are removing the topmost portion, the place where the branch attachment is there, you should only remove that much. You are almost cutting 25% of tomato there. This is energy of Krishna, Prabhu. This has to be used in Krishna's service. Since then, every time I see a tomato, I remember the energy of Krishna. And every time I think about time, of course, we remember Krishna. The time doesn't have to be wasted. In my office also, because of devotees, it is, we all get to learn all these things, that when I get up from my table, my cabin, I make sure that I switch off all this, all the lights in my cabin, in my office. And then I also go and switch off, the lights in my assistant's cabin, HR, somebody sits there. So one day she was asking, but why do we need to make sure somebody will come in the night and off? Then I told her the entire story of tomato. That this is God's energy. Everything is God's energy. We have to use in God's service. And I remember once we had a satsang in our house, and His Grace Radhesham Prabhu was coming, and we had that event, and some brahmacharis were already there in our house, and Radhesham Prabhu was coming, and then together we were supposed to go to the hall and start the program. So there was a little time because brahmacharis were having their lunch, and Prabhuji came a little in advance. I don't know how many of you have experienced, but he maintains absolute time. Absolute time. And I've seen some devotees, in Iskcon, especially Radhesham Prabhu, when I work with him, absolute. He has to be on time. It has to start on time. It has to end on time, like that. So he came a little in advance that day, and I told Prabhuji that Prabhuji, you can relax a little, in the other room, and by the time other brahmacharis finish their lunch, and we all together can go. This is the only sentence I told. I told you can relax a little in the other room by the time they finish. And then Prabhuji started explaining me what is the meaning of relaxation in the lift, and he gave a translation and purport of entire relaxation, saying how we should not waste time. How can you say? He was literally, scolded me in a way, saying, "How can you say? How can you ask me to relax? Where is the question of relaxation in Krishna consciousness, Prabhu? I don't want to relax. There is our goal should be we should be like 6 Goswamis, only sleep for 2 hours, like that." He gave me that lecture for half an hour. By the time brahmacharis finished the lunch, I had my lecture on time also and relaxation also. And I've decided never in my life I'll go to any Maharaj or any senior devotee and tell Prabhu relax. Because they know the importance of time, right? Time means there is no question of, materialistic people say, time pass nahi ho raha hai, time pass nahi ho raha hai, time kill karo. Never do that in front of a devotee, especially Radhesham Prabhu. So I would just repeat the translation once. I was not really prepared for this kind of a service, but I'm grateful to Maharaj that you've given me this service in front of the Lordships, that I could read the purport of Prabhupada and read the translation. I'll once again read the translation. O inaugurator of the material energy, this wonderful creation works under the control of powerful time, which is divided into seconds, minutes, hours, and years. This element of time, which extends for many millions of years, is but another form of the Lord Vishnu. For your pastimes, you act as the controller of time, but you are the reservoir of all good fortune. Let me offer my full surrender unto your Lordship. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any reflections, questions? Because we don't have much time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, Prabhupada. You have a question? Can we take one question, Prabhu? Is it time? 9 o'clock? आपके पास अल्टीमेट पावर है तो हारोगे क्यों? अच्छा, मैंने ये कहावत सुनी नहीं है, मैं पहली बार सुन रहा हूँ। लेकिन आपने जो कहा आखिर में कि हरि का सहारा जो लेता है वो कभी हारता नहीं है, वो तो सही है। नमे भक्त प्रणश्यति, देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ कृष्णा's devotees facing a defeat. But sometimes externally, Krishna also makes his devotees face a little defeat for his purification. Like sometimes a little defeat happens, but that is also a victory for a Krishna's devotee, because in the defeat also he learns something, right? So Hari ka bhakt kabhi, there is nothing in loss in Krishna consciousness. कृष्ण भक्ति में जो कुछ भी हमारे जिंदगी में होता है बाहर से देखा जाए तो शायद कभी लगता होगा कि डिवोटी हारा है या जीता है, या फिर कुछ करा है या नहीं कर पाया है, लेकिन अंदर से देखा जाए तो वो कभी वो कुछ उसने कुछ सीखा है या किसी को कुछ सिखाया है, तो हार कभी होती नहीं है। मैं शायद पूरी तरह से आंसर नहीं कर पाया, महाराज या कोई डिवोटी, एनी डिवोटी कैन। हरे कृष्ण। यस प्रभु, यू आर आस्किंग।
So, the question is, Prabhu, in spiritual world,
we read that there is no time factor.
Yeah.
So how to understand it? So they won't be like day, night, or souls won't grow, or how do we understand that? There is no time factor.
In spiritual world, there is no time. No, in spiritual world, there is time. But the nature of this time and the nature of that time in the spiritual world is different. In the material world, time deteriorates, diminishes everything. In spiritual world, time enhances and exemplifies everything. The Lord Krishna, his gopis, gopas, cows, they become more and more beautiful by the time passes by. In fact, I'm not remembering a book. There's a famous Vaishnava literature in which there is a whole time given of when exactly Krishna is woken up. What is it? There is, if somebody can help me with the book name, I heard that there is a scripture in which the whole time is given, at what time is woken up, what time Yashodama takes him for bath, what time he is dressed, what time is given the breakfast, what time he goes out for herding the cows, what time he comes back, what time he eats. Everything with exact time is given. So spiritual world has time, but the time is not like our time here. Here, as the time passes by, everything is everything loses its charm, everything loses its energy. But in spiritual world, it becomes more and more beautiful. Krishna becomes more and more beautiful. I don't know what is more beautiful for the most beautifulest, but that is a transcendental aspect of Krishna. It becomes more and more beautiful, and his devotees become more and more beautiful, and the dham becomes more and more beautiful, and it's still becoming beautiful, and it is ever beautiful. Anybody wants to add? Sorry, Maharaj, is that okay? I don't know the scripture name, but I remember seeing it. It's not a very Ashtakali Leela. Huh? Okay, maybe you can read that scripture, Prabhu. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Dandot Pranam. Please accept my blessings. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam Grantha ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.